Now, after enjoying a long reign as the king of streaming, Netflix faces a tough fight to keep its crown. It's lost almost 1 million subscribers between April and June as more people decided to quit the service. Rivals are challenging its dominance whilst price hikes have taken a toll. Now, here's what some subscribers in Ghana have been saying about the streaming giant services.
Do you have a Netflix account?
Yeah, I do.
Have you shared the passwords with other people?
Yes, I have. My kid sister. And then a third party. I've paid for like 4 screens, so I can share with 4 people or 3 people. Yeah, I don't think it has to be like that. Because once I've been able to buy maybe 4 screens or 2 screens, I can share with anybody I want to share it with. If I'm sharing with someone, the person doesn't have to pay because I think I've covered for that cost already. If they want to do that, then the cost has to reduce because it's quite expensive.
I'm not into Netflix, but then I think I've heard a lot about Netflix and the movies that are streaming there. But seriously speaking, I've not taken a chance to look for how to actually get an account to watch one. In business today, you can't just cheat others and just have your freedom. And I think it's good for them. But then if that will lead to reducing or the reduction of the price that a subscriber or the account holder will pay, I think that wouldn't be bad at all.
Well, I heard Netflix doesn't allow patching again. For me, I'm not going to purchase Netflix again because I'm not working and it's quite expensive, so I can't promise that like I'll go back to the app again. Yeah.
Like it would be better if you buy your own account, or like you just don't buy it at all because you are purchasing because you don't have the money, and right now you are purchasing and they're going to charge you for purchasing. Then it's like they are charging you, so I won't do that.
Looking at the amount of money that goes into Netflix, I'm a student. When I look at my financial status for now, for me to delve money into purchasing or subscribing onto Netflix and those stuff, I could channel that money into different aspects.
Well, joining us to discuss this further, lead for Eyes of Africa, Henry Kobler. Great to have you. We missed you yesterday, but you're here with us to talk about Netflix. I remember the last time we discussed this about Netflix losing its subscribers. I mean, the conclusion maybe was that because the streaming giant wanted to stop account sharing, you saw the number of subscribers drop. But now there are issues of how much it is costing to be subscribed onto the streaming service, and that is not going well for the company, Henry.
Yeah, so thank you for having me. Generally, when it comes down to subscriber services, I think that generally we're actually looking at a downside of it towards almost most of the platforms. And so it might not necessarily just be about Netflix losing these users, but it's generally cutting up costs. It's also a point where you look at the business model as well, where you come to understand that you're paying every month and every month has its downsides. Unlike most tech products that you have the advantage of either choosing a monthly subscription, which is a bit higher, or paying for a yearly subscription, which is a bit cheaper. And so if Netflix had a point where I could say I would pay for a whole year, I'm sure that people could definitely be sticking around to still use the service because they are paying for a whole year, and so they are sort of having that service available to them. But when you have to do that consistently every month, it sometimes looks irritating. I've had the same experience with some of the streaming services with music, and I've had to go up because I felt that it was just taking my funding. Now, that's a very simple analogy, which is actually being thrown by a lot of young people who are actually accustomed to this kind of services which is provided. So it might not necessarily be about that as well. The cost, I think, is not too much compared to...
Not too much? Well, it's relative. I mean, especially during these days when there is high cost of living, people have priorities, and maybe pay streaming services may not be one.
Honestly, if you're looking at the cost of getting these productions to come through and some of these contents, I think that if the content is premium like Netflix had initially started, I don't think that the cost is that difficult to look at, and especially based on the business model where you could share passwords and all of that to a particular number of screens. I thought it was better. But now you're looking at the quality as against how much you're paying, and people are looking at it as compared to other services, which is also streaming in terms of Amazon or Hulu or Apple TV. And so the content is sort of not too primary or not too premium to sort of be paying so much for that. But I thought I am just looking at it as Adding, let's say, advertisements to it to just reduce the cost is, again, something that a lot of people are also going to have some concerns. I would have concerns about it because when you're looking at the advertisement models, it's actually very intrusive into your privacy, which is a lot of pointers where a lot of people start looking at whenever they also have to start looking into doing advertisements. And so both models really a bit tricky. The only thing I think that would actually solve the problem is if you're providing premium content that people can stick around and watch. And they're also looking at, say, yearly renewals, which is okay for quite a number of people. They've not been able to solve the issues in terms of password sharing. I don't think they would actually be able to do that. But it's tech. When it comes down to tech, I think that they will definitely have a solution, but it will also get them some downtime and some subscribers getting off the platform.
Well, the BBC report I read also spoke about competition from other streaming services, and so that's where Netflix is getting a hit as well. But I mean, let's talk about if you are a manager of Netflix, what strategy you'd employ right now, seeing that you are facing stiff competition and people are really finding it really difficult to pay for your services at this point.
So Daria, what is Netflix selling? They are selling content, right? So that's the whole point. So far as you can get premium content to people, that's the whole point. You don't need to put a lot, because it becomes very difficult actually surfing through quite a lot of TV series, which you really do not get. And they actually do not even have like a complete end to some of these series, right? And so it makes it difficult to sort of watch a series which I know doesn't have a complete end. So it's not quality for me. And so make sure that you're putting a very good content out there. Secondly, look at premium services for, let's say, people who are willing to pay good for, let's say, annual subscriptions. If I pay a year, I will still stick around. Whether a month goes bad or a month goes good, I'll still stick around. So a yearly subscription, I think, would do. Regional subscriptions as well, I think that would be one of the things I have to look at, because the same amount being paid for different regions, I mean, sometimes gets to be a bit difficult. I mean, if you're looking into Ghanaians, paying almost about $11, $15 every month, converting your exchange rate basically looks big for you. But to maybe somebody in the US, it just basically looks like, okay, it's a bit of thing for them. So I think that those are the strategies I would be looking at: premium content, making sure that there's annual subscriptions. I think it cuts across not just Netflix, but for a lot of people are looking into getting into the digital businesses, and I'm looking at how they could definitely be charging people. It's cutting across, like I mentioned, towards music streaming services and all of that. And so it basically means that you just have to look at how you're charging people and how consistent they will be able to.
Right. All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your perspective, Henry Kobler, lead for Eyes of Africa, on issues Netflix is facing at this point. That's the marketplace, everybody. Thanks for watching. My name is Daryl Kwao. We will be back same time tomorrow.